This episode is my birthday episode.
Oh, that's right.
Happy birthday to you.
Friends, Romans, and countrymen. Today is a very special day because it's not her birthday, but it will be sometime around when this airs. So this
Cheers.
airs on Friday. Oh, you got your golden arches, Mickey D's. Diet Coke, I'm guessing.
Of course.
Yes. So this airs on Friday and your birthday is on Monday?
Monday.
November
7th, 1980.
God, I cannot believe that we are 3 years apart.
Only 3. Welcome to Fire Away.
Seriously funny conversations.
The podcast
Where we catch up on things that make us laugh, eh?
Things that make us human.
Yes. We are Matt Bays and
Leslie Robbins.
Leslie Ann Robbins. And today we are going to talk about
my birthday. Tell him that it's my birthday. Tell him that it's my birthday.
Happy birthday to my pal, to my pal, to my pal. It's Leslie's birthday. We're going to talk all about her birthday. And
divorce.
Of course, we're going to talk about divorce. It's what we do. If we don't talk about death, we're going to talk about the death of marriage.
Yes. And
the talent show and Tracy Manning.
Oh my gosh. Tracy Manning, this is your episode. Is she a sparkler? I'm spelling her name right now.
With your sparkler?
Yeah.
And worst teachers.
Yes. The year was 1980.
For me. Yeah. For you?
1992.
Ugh, I could feel it in the universe. I have something that I have been meaning to say to you, and now I'm going to address it in front of these tens of people, is that you often say regarding our age.
You're a few years ahead of me.
Yes, you say that a lot. I mean, and you're 10 years ahead of me. That's what you say.
You are.
Yeah, I know. And so does everyone now because you keep saying it.
Well, I think as somebody who's younger, I don't feel like I can speak any kind of like wisdom into you because you're older than me. So I try to admit that before I say something like, let me impart some knowledge to someone older than me.
Just as a reminder, I came out at 46 years old, so I'm sure that I can use some wisdom from people younger than me.
Right. And I know a lot about coming out of the closet.
You do. You did. We have the teaser to prove
We do
it.
have that teaser that proves it.
Yeah. And it was about damn time.
Yeah. What were you doing right before your 10th birthday? Do you remember your 10th birthday, 1980?
I do not remember that. I would have been in 4th grade with Mrs. Hadaway, who was not a nice teacher. I had 3 years of bad teachers, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And 4th grade was Mrs. Hadaway. And guess what she did?
She spanked you.
Want me to tell you how she was mean to me?
Yep.
She did this with her mouth. Like if she was just sitting there and I would watch her because, of course, I cared just as much about that shit as I do now. She would sit at her desk and go, her lips would move. And I didn't know why. They would just keep moving. And I asked my mom why. And my mom said, she has false teeth. And I was like, she goes, that's why. And I was like, they were bad false teeth then. Because I would think if you were going to make false teeth, you would be like, let's not make them look like you found them in a river drag,
Yeah.
Look a little
That's
nicer.
the second time you've used the phrase river drag.
Well, that's what I think. Well, it's when you're searching for dead bodies or you're searching for something and you're dragging the river for stuff. And when it comes up, it's usually when it comes up with stuff, moss hanging in mud, hanging on it. And that's what her teeth looked like.
Oh, my God.
She was not nice. So here's what I was originally going to tell before I got off the beaten path with her teeth.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I ever sang in public a solo was in 4th grade. And I sang Can't Smile Without You by Barry Manilow. Because my sister talked me into it. We listened to his album called Even Now all the time. And that song, Even Now, is such a nice song. Lots of key changes, all the Barry. Anyway, I wore my brother's jacket and white turtleneck. Oh, I was ready, but I was nervous. And so I made it all the way to the finals.
Of course.
And did not win and did not place. Because I was scared. I was very nervous. So I just stood up there and sang. And some of these kids were up there like, in a minute, 1 minute, in a minute, I'm going to pump you up. It was like some people were super into it, like Tracy Manning, who had 5 trophies and came to my house with them when she was 46. Here, have you seen that picture?
She brought her trophies.
We met and we had talked about, she won every year. We were in the same year. And I still have my second place trophy. Second place to who? Tracy Manning.
I love you, Tracy Manning. I love you.
Oh, okay. So she comes over here to the house. I'm going to have to get a picture for the stories because she is holding all the trophies and I have 1 and she has 5 trophies in her arms like this, like holding them all, like she can barely contain it all. So it was trickery too, because every year she sang and danced. And I remember the first time she did it, I was in 3rd grade. That's when I went to that school, and she sang Secondhand Rose and had on this whole outfit and was like singing and dancing and all the things. And I was like, who is that? How do they know how to do this? I didn't even know there was a talent show then. And then in 4th grade, she sang a song called Loverly from I think it's Mary Poppins. Then she did Honey Bun in 5th grade from South Pacific, dressed up in a whole like sailor outfit as a girl. It was so cute.
Who did she think she was?
I know. And she kept winning. She should have won first place a few times, and she didn't because we had to coronate the principal's daughter who won first place because she sang Rainbow Connection and tap danced to it and wore half a tuxedo. The end. Anyway, 6th grade, she plays her damn violin, changes everything. Because I'm like, I'm going to win this year. I'm going to win. Mm-hmm. And I sang Chim Chim Cheree. Yes.
I had ashes on your face.
All over my face. Yes. Got them out of my own damn fireplace, rubbed them all over my face, got to the finals, and she played her violin. And it was kind of like, she can't do that. She can't change the game. Like you sing and dance and we go toe to toe. And she played her violin. And I knew it when she played that damn violin because she was good. And I knew she was going to win. So she won first place and I won second place. I wasn't bitter till she brought all those damn trophies over. Anyway, here's what happened in 4th grade. And then I'll let it go. I love Tracy Manning.
I do too. I love her that she brought those trophies 40 years later.
Showed up. I opened the door and I was like, I'm not one to call a girl the B name, but like it might have run through my head.
Love you, Tracy. Love you.
Anyway, other than that, back to the story. In 4th grade, I sang Can't Smile Without You, made it to the finals, did not win, was sad that I didn't win. Came back to my classroom and Miss Hadaway was like, Matt, come up here. I want to talk to you about your performance today.
Oh, no.
Yes. Calls me to the front of the class. Now, you might think I was this outgoing person. I was a shy kid. You know, I really, really was like shy. Anyway, she calls me to the front of the class, puts a bud vase in my hand from her desk, like a microphone, and says, go ahead and sing. And I'm like, don't know what to, and she's mean. She's a mean teacher. She goes, I want to show you why you didn't win. Here's what you need to do. And she stands behind me, grabs my arms, forces me to sing Can't Smile in front of the class, right? And is moving my arms all around while I'm like, you know, I can't smile. She's like moving my arms like I'm a puppet, like on a string, like showing me how to make moves. Everybody's laughing and my face is beet red. And I was super, super uncomfortable. Did I say her name was Mrs. Hadaway? Because that's what her name was. She can't be alive now, so I don't feel as bad about saying her name. You know why?
Because she's dead.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Past It.
Do you ever notice that when we were kids, all the teachers were old, and nowadays they're like young and cute, and like their classrooms are so cute?
Who was your oldest like teacher, and was she nice or not nice?
Her name was Ruby Terrell, and she was my 5th grade teacher. And I only had her for social studies, and she had a very high-pitched voice. And she was scary and probably didn't enjoy her job anymore, but thought maybe she had to keep working. But she would eat an apple. She would stick scissors in an apple and then eat it.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
strange. Was
And
it?
I would
That
just,
seems like something you would do if you were trying to intimidate kids, like,
well, she was doing it.
where
Yeah.
you pull out the jackknife and you're like,
And
and
she let
everybody
me
gets
know
nervous.
all the time. Leslie Black, I sit by your grandma at church every Sunday.
That was like a warning.
Mama Tiny. You think Mama Tiny cared? She'd be like, but I was
You
always
can't
like,
tell me nothing bad about my granddaughter.
yeah, she let me know. Leslie Black. I was silent as a church mouse in school. I didn't want anybody to notice me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had a teacher that everybody called Mama Edwards. Her name was Miss Edwards, of course, Mrs. Edwards. And she spanked people with a hockey stick. Swear to God. I don't know how these teachers got away with this, but there were several of them that had things, but everybody knew about her hockey stick, like, do not make her mad. Now, this was in junior high. I had her for science class. And she was, sometimes I wonder if they were just like 60, but they seemed like they were 100.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, like, old people just seemed much older when they were in their 50s, right? Yeah. And then you realize, like, have you ever done the math on how old your grandma was when you were growing up? And you're like, oh, I'm
my age.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I just think that's weird that my grandparents looked like they were 80 when they were 80 and like they were 80 when they were 50.
Right. 100%. I understand that.
Always the same. Yeah. So Mama Edwards, she was just another one who would be really mean. She was very boring, but if you got mouthy with her, she would just stare at you. And you always, like, in the back of my head, I was like, hockey stick. She has a hockey stick. She got it out once. Didn't, but it was as a threat. Like, she walked over and pulled it out of this cupboard and had a freaking hockey stick. Like, today, I think kids would be like, what do you think you're going to do with that? Do you know what I mean? It'd be like,
yes, I totally do.
Right. This is 1980. That was probably 1983 or 84. And I just can't imagine that was a thing. And I did in 7th grade. I got a SWAT from Mr. Bach for launching projectiles.
What?
My friend Carl Powell asked for a pencil and I tossed it to him. And he and I both got SWATs. All he did was catch it.
Why? Oh my gosh. But see, that's what I mean. Like, the difference in 10 years. I never once saw anybody get a spanking at school. Not once.
Really?
There's a difference in 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you pointed it out again.
There it is. 10 years. 10-finity.
It's amazing what 10 years could do.
10 whole years. Well, like, when you start referencing 70 stuff, just remember, I was not born. I'm like, I don't know.
So you're going to be 42?
Yeah.
You turned 42, and then right after I turned 52.
Yes.
52. Yes. Leslie, that's 8 years from 60.
Who cares? 60 is just a number. I don't care about getting older. I really don't.
I know, because it's been your dream to be an old lady.
That's true.
It's not everybody's life goal to be an old lady.
Well, I was talking to my friend Bill at work today, and he was like, I'm 83. Like, we were talking about what we could do in December. And I was like, we could go sledding. We could get a big, like, pool tube, that's real safe. And he was like, I'm too old. I was like, Bill, you've never been old a day in your life. Because he's just so fun. And he's so, he went to Barnes & Noble today and bought a book, iPhones for Dummies. He's going to read it. He's going to learn about it. Can't wait.
He's going to figure it out.
He's going to figure it out. And I really like that about him. So,
well, people do. I mean, my mom, her gift game is not good. It's still like bears and, sparklies and all that stuff when she sends a gift that's like, have a very good day. And it'll be like sparkles and whatnot. Yeah. It's cute. But when she first started sending like just emojis, she didn't know how to send them or where they were. I don't know how she got them, but she would screenshot an emoji and like it would be like the size of a regular picture. And then she would just send the picture of like a laughing emoji. It's all pixelated and it's your whole screen. And it was kind of my favorite thing.
I love it. They're trying.
Yeah.
They're trying really hard to stay with it. And that's what I feel like that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I got to shut the blinds. He sees a squirrel.
Okay.
Miller, I'm telling you, it's a no for me. You can go to your room.
Leslie is getting her dog.
'cause that dog is chasing the squirrel.
Okay.
I said that dog is chasing the squirrel 'cause he knows it's Miller time.
Okay. Back to what you were saying.
Oh, I was telling my mom how Chris will sit for an hour at a time and just scroll through his phone and look at pictures. He loves looking at his pictures, his photos. He takes so many pictures. And she goes, I do that. And I said, you do? And she said, all the time. She goes, they just make me happy. I look at pictures of the kids and the grandkids, and I just scroll through my phone and look at old pictures, which stands to reason because she sends me pictures of the girls like when they were 7. No, just random out of the blue because she's going through pictures. Chris does the same thing.
Aww.
Oh, people are funny. Okay, so tell me what is happening on your birthday in 3 days.
The day this episode airs,
Yes.
I am driving with Riley and Jared to Columbia, Missouri to meet my parents. And we are going to go to a UK football game and
Ooh, go
out to eat and do fun things for my birthday. Because, you know, I'm a
Nice.
big football fan.
You are. We both are.
Oh, love it.
Yes. I just love their outfits.
Yeah.
That'll be nice hanging with your parents.
Yeah, I haven't seen them in a long time.
Do you have like a restaurant in mind or?
My dad texted me and said, hey, I can make reservations for dinner for your birthday, like something nice. What would you like? And I put Texas Roadhouse.
You did not.
Yeah, I like it. I'm easy. I don't like fancy. That's not
You
who I
don't
am.
like bougie food.
No.
You just want to roll with a little butter and honey on it and throw them
Right.
damn Cracker Jacks on the ground.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, anytime I hear Kenny Chesney music, it's like I taste butter rolls in my mouth. I can just taste it. You know I'm right. You know I'm right.
I know
hear-
one song by him.
You-
and,
all you have to
yeah,
do is hear
man, that's the good stuff.
and
That's
you will
all I know.
immediately want peanuts and a roll.
Yeah. And
Guaranteed.
a dog.
And a
like
dog.
An old hound dog in your lap.
Yeah. I mean,
Who sings that song? Alcohol.
that's Brad Paisley.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What was one of like your best birthdays?
I can see the theme here. You are keeping this on a birthday track.
Why not?
Well, I
Right.
would like my own special episode about my birthday, Leslie.
Okay, we'll make it about you then.
Not yours. This is your episode. Don't
Okay,
try to
well, I was
reel me
gonna-
in. And my
No.
favorite birthday, I don't know what my favorite birthday was. I do enjoy birthdays. They're a big deal to me. So I try to make a big deal of them for everyone, including myself. Not like
Right.
throwing myself a big party, but usually I think I'd like to go out with a couple that I really like,
Mhm.
and have great conversation. I don't need gifts. I don't mind getting one gift from my sweetie pie,
Sure.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just something like to open or whatever.
Yeah.
But it mostly would be about seeing people that I like. And this sounds so dumb, but like telling them it sounds so stupid, but like telling them how I feel about them, telling them how much I
Of
love
course.
them. I'm glad they're in my life. I had a moment earlier when you were talking about your birthday where I thought, I love Leslie.
Oh,
You know what one of my favorite things about this podcast is with you?
Mm.
Because I always just think this is not easy. Some people think this is an easy thing to do. I think it's easy because it's in our wheelhouse to just sit on here and just blab
Yeah.
and have a conversation. But one of the things I love about you is when you hold your own in such a way that if I give you shit, you just like a few episodes ago, I said, well, how would you like it if you didn't have eyeballs?
No,
girl?"
you
I
said you are
"Oh,"
mean.
I said, you're mean and you don't, and you have your eyeballs. And you were like, exactly. This is what I'm talking about. You were like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. You just like own it. Here. And it just,
Right.
it always surprises me, the things that you say, that you come
Yes.
up with when you were like this with the eye. It's another
I
thing.
can't find her. I've been trying so hard. You should see my TikTok Google search.
But I did see the girl that you were talking about,
yeah, it's
and
like-
her name is Christina Aguilera. Aguilera.
I know.
What? I kind of love that. That's like brave and just like, "Psst,
Yeah.
you can't stop me. What are you going to do?"
Right. Just
I'm missing
embrace
an
it.
eye. How you like me now? Like,
Yes.
she's just like, I love that.
Yes.
Yes. It's
That's
not
my
something
point.
I want to follow to make fun of because it's
No.
not funny. It's kind of like you go and you do your
Yeah.
thing. And she just kind
Yeah.
of owns it and bedazzles that thing. It's kind of cool.
Right. It's like she's not making fun of herself. She's not making fun of anything. She's anticipating questions that people have and she's already answering them. Like, here's what I
Yes.
do. Here's the thing that I do. So you don't have to feel uncomfortable or you don't feel like you have to stare at her. She's like, oh, here's what I do. Here's
Yeah.
what happened. Like she's just very open about it. And
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to turn a corner. This is going to be abrupt. It's something I want to talk about,
Okay.
but I'm going to try to not get too feisty.
Oh, okay. Wow. Let's
Okay.
do it.
Let's take a deep breath and let's be whatever. So I posted a Facebook post about marriage.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
long. It's like
Mhm.
1,700 words.
Yeah.
It's a long post. I love me a good long post.
I know you do. I know you do.
My friend Brian usually will either text me and say, I love you. I didn't read your whole post. It's too long. Something like that. And I'm like, okay.
Thanks.
So, right. But there have been some interesting comments. I think my favorite comment is from, and these are public, so I can say somebody that follows us, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She left a comment that was really interesting to me, and I couldn't stop thinking about it because of what she said in it. And she wasn't like trying to give her like, here's what I think about all of this. It was just kind of like her story. So the post is about marriage. It starts off sort of about Christian marriage and the pressure to uphold that, even if the marriage isn't working, is finished, or is just completely miserable.
Yeah.
And I think the core idea of it is I would like to be with somebody that I want to be with.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to be with someone who wants to be with me. So I don't really want to be in a relationship with somebody who doesn't want to be in a relationship with me. I think it might be difficult news to hear at first, but in the long run, I don't want to be with somebody that I know is not happy with me. That's a really important thing to me. Finding a relationship that fits, that helps you be your best self in a relationship that you enjoy. Now, I always say this. If you've had a bad year, hang in there. Keep working on it and see what happens. It could come back around, and you both may want to work on it. If you've had a bad 5 years, maybe it's time to consider some other options and maybe come together. Now, if you've had about bad 5 years, hell, if you've had a bad 15 years, but you both have come to this place where you're like, we want this marriage. Great. But you don't have to stay in it if it's not working. Okay. So back to Sarah. Sarah left this comment. She follows the podcast, and I could not stop thinking about it. And what she said in it was something to the effect of, there never came a point in my marriage where I wanted to be out of it. Like, staying seemed right and seemed easier. I thought that was an interesting way to say that, because I think that there are a lot of people where they're not staying because it's easier. They're staying because they think it's what God wants.
Oh, yep.
Okay. And staying because it's easier, I think, is really important. It's because it's like basically saying, what I have here is better than not having it. Right. So I'm making an option to stay because this is easier and feels right to me. I really loved that comment. And I'll shut up and let you say something. There have been other comments. There was one on my Instagram in particular that talked about, and this is where I got stirred up. How about, though, that you just don't have kids? Because what ends up happening is we have to deal with your divorce forever. We're growing up every other weekend in other homes. And then the rest of our lives is spent hanging around step people that we don't know or don't necessarily really want to know.
Mm-hmm.
And figuring out Christmases and all of this stuff, that this has now become a huge problem for us.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a little bit what I want to talk about. But what do you think?
No, I agree with what you said so far. I want to hear what stirred you up about that.
What stirred me up about that was, I'm probably going to sound insensitive, and I don't mean to, but I'm going to try to go down this road, because I will begin by saying this. I'm a product of divorce.
Mm-hmm.
So I know the ins and outs of it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this isn't coming from a person who has not experienced divorce in their family. I have. My parents were divorced when I was 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is a really nuanced thing. It's how the parents interact with each other. It's based on the personality of the kid, all of that kind of stuff. And this person did acknowledge, I'm not saying people should have to be married to somebody that they don't want to be married to forever, but be careful when we start saying things like kids are really resilient.
Mm-hmm.
All of that is fair. And I have
Mm-hmm.
great respect for this person. So I really took it to heart what they had to say. But there are marriages that have ended in divorce that has not been overly problematic for the kids, because the parents have been decent human beings to each other. They've treated each other with respect.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the issue is there's tension in the homes, and there would be tension in the home if they were together.
Mm-hmm.
What is the real problem? Or if you're an adult child of divorce, what was the real problem back then? Was it really gathering up your things and going to another house every other week? Or was it how you felt in that home? Or was it how you felt knowing that your parents couldn't stand each other?
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's get to what the actual issue is so that we can get it healed up, because the answer certainly isn't the parents staying together and having to stay together so that you can have Christmas in the way that you wanted to have Christmas, because that's one day a year.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Okay.
And also, there's something I have, like, I think both things can be real.
Yes. Me too.
And I think that kids, if you are, a little kid in divorce, as you were, I was not, you don't have the emotional intelligence to put some of those blocks together until you're older, right? I mean,
yes.
Sometimes even way older.
Yep.
Like 30s, 40s, you start figuring those things out and putting it together. But like when you're a kid, you're like 12, let's say, and your parents get divorced, and that breaks up your home. I actually saw a TikTok of a teenager saying, there's always the parent whose house you want to be at and the parent whose house you want your friends to come to.
Okay.
Because things change, like personalities of parents are different. And when those personalities were together, maybe it made a kind of a whole, like maybe one parent is more of a rule-based parent and the other parent is more relational based. And so when that home splits, you've got only rules and only relationships.
Yes.
Right. And so it feels unbalanced. Then you've got these new people that come in. This is not about my life. This is just a generic, who bring their family traditions and family values and how their ideas of how kids should be raised, or maybe they even bring their kids in. And it's very hard to blend. It's hard to make that fit. And so even for parents who are doing that, it's hard. But for kids to be looking in and going, what about me? This isn't fair. I didn't ask for any of this. Like you might have felt that way when you were growing up. So there's like that. I get it. I feel that I'm in that. Like I feel it. But also, you don't want your kids to grow up in a house where maybe mom and dad are fighting all the time or not speaking at all. They just live completely separate.
Okay. Yeah.
It's both.
I want to respond to one thing that you said about the kids saying, what about me? This isn't fair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is where it sounds insensitive to say life isn't fair. But please understand that the thought of what this is a part of my life. And I'm going to hold it together right now because this could make me very weepy of what this costs people. I really, really do understand that. And empathy is number one for me. Of if people are hurting, I mean, that's why I thought about that comment today, because I take it inside and I think about it. But yes, life isn't fair. And we do have to understand that on some level, because there are people walking, Christina Aguilera, she doesn't have an eye. There are
Right.
people who are in wheelchairs. There are people who have had siblings pass away and have learning disabilities and can't hold down jobs or have depression or mental illnesses or
Yes.
whatever. Life isn't fair. And so I'm not saying that shouldn't hurt.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, it is yours to deal with. The answer is not for two people to stay married for you. I don't know that that is going to do anything good for you, that you get to have this Christmas that you've always wanted to have and dreamed of. You don't. But here's where it's different for me, because I'm a deeply feeling person. But Leslie, I never wanted my parents to stay married. I never thought about wishing they had stayed married, because I think it was a really bad fit. And frankly, my dad made my mom feel really bad about herself, And so I didn't want that for her. I didn't.
No.
But that's me. I also know that there are a lot of people that are different and would be like, I don't really care if they make each other feel bad. I don't want to feel bad, which I understand that too.
Yeah.
But when we're in our 30s, 40s, 50s, I think at some point we have to figure out how to have boundaries as adults to say even something like this. Yeah, I know, Mom, Dad, you hate each other and don't get along and you're divorced. I'm having Christmas at my house. You're both welcome to come.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Where you just kind of create a boundary and say, this is what it is. This doesn't have to continue to affect me, where I make provisions for these people that decided to get divorced. And let me tell you what, my ass is going to show up and be civil and do the right thing, So it's just, it's a tough thing, because I could feel pain coming through those comments, which really bothers me. But then at the same time, I do know I always want to be careful that we don't shame somebody into staying in something that is unhealthy for them. Nobody owes their kids a marriage.
Right.
That could get me in trouble saying that, but they don't. They don't owe the kids a marriage. What they owe the kids is love, unconditional support, encouragement. That's what they owe that kid. So when the relationship goes away, the love and the support and the encouragement, they remained, because divorce is a real thing. It happens in 50% of marriages or somewhere around there. Yeah.
Glennon Doyle said that when she was kind of going through this rocky time in her first marriage, and she was, fighting for the kids, staying for the kids, making it work for the kids. She was brushing her daughter's hair, and she realized she may be staying for her, but she doesn't want this for her. She didn't want this marriage for her.
See, yeah.
And that made me go, bing! Yeah. Like, kind of the shame that I had been carrying was like, you're right. That's not the model. And the second thing is, you said shame, and I've been thinking about this a lot. With marriage, it takes two people to want to work on it. And like, you may be fighting like hell, but if your partner is like, you know what, that doesn't sound like a lot of fun to me. What can you do? And then like, people shame you for getting divorced, and you're like, I did everything I could. Like what? Like I nearly lost my mind, you know? So I think that I get the idea. And yes, it would be awesome if you're in a marriage and you both want to work on it and you work really hard and it works. Yeah. Great. That's the model. That's what the model.
Yeah. That's why I say when people are, getting married at 20, 21, 22, 23, before you really know who you are and know what it is that you need, a second shot is good. Now, the caveat to this is that second divorces have a higher divorce rate. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah.
And
for sure.
third, even higher. It's like 50, 60, and 70. It's like, so I do think you have to work your shit out, to realize this is what I need in a relationship. And that's what I'm looking for if, in fact, you do end up getting married. But there was one more thing that I wanted to mention, is that there was a comment that said the hard thing for children to realize is they will always carry this idea of, if they stopped loving that person, can they stop loving me?
Mm,
Can the parent stop loving me? Okay. So that is not my experience. I will never stop that love for the mother of my children. It will always, 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 always be there. It
Yeah.
will in some form. Okay.
Yeah.
But the reality is there are parents that stop loving each other.
Yeah.
Okay. And there are also parents who, in whatever way, seem to stop loving their children. Okay. Again, let's just be honest.
Yeah.
That is not anything
Yeah.
that will ever happen. There's nothing that could
Yeah.
ever stop me from loving my kids. Okay.
Right.
But my dad, I always questioned his love for me,
Yeah.
whether or not he really loved me. Now, I think that he did in his own way as best he could. And I think he was trying. Now, at some point, I have to make peace with that.
Yeah.
So I may have the reality in my life that my parent doesn't love me. And some parent out there somewhere doesn't love their kids.
Yeah.
You can heal from that.
Yes.
You can.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
And part of that is acceptance and coming to terms with it, experiencing the disappointment. This is not as it should have been, but you can heal from this by, I think, for me, it was forgiveness and realizing that they did the best that they could. Now, that's one of the things that people push the hardest back on me when I've said is I think they're doing the best they can. And they're like, no, they weren't. How's the best that they can being an addict and leaving my mother, cheating all over, that kind of stuff. It's like, okay, I'm not saying the best that you could. I'm saying the best that they could with the tools that they had, the knowledge that they had, whatever was going on inside of them. I have to live from that place because frankly, it's given me a lot of peace and has helped me be able to move forward.
Oh my gosh. I love that because I think that kids who grow up in that kind of household where maybe your dad was abusive or your mom was abusive, or you felt like your mom or dad didn't love you, you can carry that up to your adulthood into your, 70s, 80s even, and just use that as your crutch. Well, my dad was this, so I'm going to live my life in reaction to that. Instead of going, okay, all of that sucks and it's valuable and I get it. I actually don't get it, but I understand where you're coming from. But at some point you've got to go, I'm a grown up now. I can make peace with this somehow, some way, and I can move on and have a happy life and not worry about that anymore.
Yeah. One of the things that I love about recovery is there's not a victim mentality. And I'm not calling anybody a victim.
No.
There's so much. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to clarify every single thing. I'm just not going to.
Right.
But what I love about it is that it's like, okay, I don't want to talk to you about all that stuff anymore. I want to talk to you about you, not what everybody did to you, not what you necessarily even experienced. Okay, we can do that in therapy for a time. But at some point, you are here right now today. How are you going to move forward and live from a new place, a healed place within you, not live from this place 2 decades ago or from the awful thing that happened to you that you did not plan on happening to you.
Right.
We have to be able to move forward. And in order to do that, nobody's going to do it for us. We have to do it. Whatever it takes, we have to do it.
Yeah.
And I have watched people, we all have, we love the inspiration porn of stories where people have gone through catastrophic. I mean, we had Laura on 3 weeks ago telling us that somebody sat down and said, this house is dead. I don't want to be with you anymore. I mean, that's devastating. But watching somebody pick themselves up and move through that, to experience all of the pain, the shame and humiliation, and to work through that process and come out the other side with a better idea of who they are and a new experience in life. We can all do that. The resources are there and the tools are there. So we have talked a lot about this and that's okay. But I just have this deep passion inside me. I really do. And sometimes it's hard when I sit with a person and I think there's a way out of this.
Mm-hmm.
But there is also a cost.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to cost you something.
Yeah.
And being willing to pay that cost is part of the deal of healing and getting out. It's not easy. It's not going to be easy.
Right.
But these things are survivable.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about that.
Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to ya.
So that's
anyway.
Leslie, I just want to say happy birthday.
I'm just trying to figure out what my stories is going to look like for this one.
Here's what I got.
Here's
what I got you for your birthday. A 20-minute diatribe on divorce, recovery.
I probably needed it.
You're welcome.
Go, shorty. It's your birthday. We're gonna party like it's your birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Yeah.
What is that song from? That's Stevie Wonder?
Yes.
Yeah. That'll be fun for our stories.
I'll put every birthday party picture I've ever had on them.
Well, as we are going out, we have to say happy birthday to Leslie. She's going to be 42. She doesn't look a day over 41. I had somebody actually say that to me once. They were like, how old are you? And I was like 47 at the time. Mm-hmm. And they were like, oh my God. And you know how you feel like, you know, she goes, I totally thought you were like 45. Like, oh, thanks for the 18 months. That's it for us today on Fire Away. We'll be back with more seriously funny conversations next week. Don't forget to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/podcast Fire Away and on Instagram, fireaway_podcast, and watch us via video on our YouTube channel and fire this podcast off to a few friends. We always tell you, but you never do. Maybe you will this week. Fire away.
Fire away.
Fire away.
Fire away.
Happy birthday to my pal. Do you know what that's from?
No.
I think it's from the Little Rascals. My pal Leslie.
Oh, I like that.
My sister used to always say that to me on my, she would always send that as a voicemail on my birthday.